Today on Behind the Business, I am going to be talking to you about why you are stuck in your coaching business right now and the 5 bottlenecks to fix. So we can only have one bottleneck at a time, and you are sitting in one of these 5. So I want to share all 5 with you today so that you can figure out which is your bottleneck and you can focus on it and fix it. So let's dive on in. So if you are stuck in your coaching business right now, I can almost guarantee it's not because you're not working hard enough or you don't want it badly enough or you haven't done enough necessarily. It's mostly just because there is a bottleneck, you're not yet aware of it, and so you're focused on the wrong thing, okay? So here's the truth. Scaling isn't always about doing more. If you're very early stages in business, of course, working more and doing more is quite essential, but there comes a point where actually doing more and working more makes you yourself the bottleneck. And that is a whole other problem, and I will speak about that on another episode. But it becomes less about doing more and more so focusing on the right things, the right time, with the right energy. And so that's really what today is about. So if you're taking action and you're not seeing results, there's always a reason, and that's actually a really good thing. Like, it would actually be super annoying if it just magically wasn't working for some reason, when really there is a bottleneck, and that's what you need to focus on, because you could work harder and harder and focus on all of these things, but if you're not focused on the bottleneck, it just doesn't really matter. It's not going to get you the result that you want until you fix the bottleneck, okay? So with that being said, let's dive in. I'm going to show you the 5 bottlenecks and that are in every coaching business, how to diagnose which one is yours, and exactly what to do once you found it. So every plateau, every income dip, and every momentum stall in your business comes down to one of the 5 bottlenecks. Number 1 is mindset. This is where you're doing the right things, but not consistently, clearly, or confidently. If you are in your own way, if you are the thing that's stopping you from showing up, taking action, being your true and best self, this is typically a mindset bottleneck. And therefore, it doesn't matter how good your messaging actually is. It doesn't matter how good you are at sales or how good your offer is. Like, if you're getting in your own way, people aren't going to see your content consistently enough or boldly enough. People aren't going to get to even experience your offer or know that it exists because you're simply not showing up. So it doesn't matter how much you've planned in the background, it doesn't matter how good your offer is and how much you've redone the sales page. If you're not showing up, you're not leaning in as your true and best self, then you, my friend, are the bottleneck. Your mindset is the bottleneck. And until you fix that, it just doesn't matter how good you are at the strategy. It's not going to work. So this is a big bottleneck that I see a lot of new coaches in, right? They haven't yet got out of their own way, right? And everyone has their own mindset thing from here to there. Everyone's got thoughts that create feelings, that dictate behavior, that dictates results. I've got thoughts, some that serve me, some that don't, but typically, coaches just starting out just have a lot more thoughts that don't serve them. Like, what if this doesn't work? What if I'm not good enough? What if I get rejected? What if this? What if that? Versus, me, for example, I don't have any of those thoughts. I've moved through all of them many years ago. I just have higher quality and different thoughts and blocks and things like that. So we all have mindset, and honestly, every bottleneck gets filtered through this one, if I'm being completely honest with you. So this one is something to address regardless, but this is a big bottleneck that can be holding people back from signing any clients and making any money at all, okay? So what this could look like, this bottleneck, is like you're second guessing, you're overthinking or avoiding action. You're posting, but you're not selling boldly. You're switching offers or niches all of the time. Like, these are some symptoms that would show me that you potentially have a mindset bottleneck. Like I said, every other bottleneck that I'm about to share with you, the other 4, is honestly filtered through this one. So everyone should go through this lens, because I really believe the root cause of everything is our thoughts. Like, our thoughts create our feelings create our actions that we do or do not take, and our actions create our results. So the root cause of it is actually the thoughts, which is your mindset. So that is why every other bottleneck is filtered through this one. Because if your mindset cracks when it's time to sell, for example, you'll pull back on selling. And if it wobbles while you're nurturing, you'll disappear for days. So you can see how it starts to affect other areas of the business at that root cause. So that is bottleneck number 1. If you have that and you would like support with that, come let me know on Instagram. I'm at Sophia Rose Bernardi, link is below, and you can just message me and open up to me, like share a voice message with me, share a message with me. I'd be happy to help, you know, as someone that's like very much on the other side of that and has a mindset that supports the growth that I want. Like I would love to share my 2 cents with you to help you move through something, because having one conversation, moving through one thing can be the difference between making hundreds of thousands of dollars, millions of dollars, and never succeeding. So there's that. The second bottleneck is your attract bottleneck. So this is where you're not bringing in enough aligned leads. So don't worry about sales or anything like that. If you're showing up and you're doing things and it doesn't matter what you're doing, like you're not attracting enough leads or aligned leads or the right leads, you have an attract bottleneck. And then naturally sales are affected, number of clients are affected, nurturing's affected. Naturally all those things become a problem. But until you fix the lead problem, all those things will remain a problem. So to spend all this time, for example, changing your offer or fixing your sales process, like is just a waste of time, because until you fix the problem above that, which is attracting leads, it's just going to keep filtering through and being a problem. So that's why you have to address the right thing in the right order with the right energy. So this is attract. This could look like your audience isn't growing. You're not visible in front of new people. No one's signing up for your free resource or your event, and you don't have leads to start conversations with. If this is you, you need to get support around how to attract better leads and more leads through marketing. Like it means your marketing strategy is off at the top of your funnel, which then affects the bottom of your funnel, right? Everything stems from the top and then goes down. So that is the second bottleneck. The third bottleneck is nurturing your audience, because it's one thing to attract them, but they're cold. They don't yet like, know, and trust you. So now you need to nurture them to get them warm, take them from cold to warm. So this is where people see you because you've attracted them, but they're not really warming up. They're not really engaging or doing that much. So this could look like you getting followers, which means you've attracted them, but engagement is low. Leads go cold after they've downloaded your freebie. People watch your stories, but they never DM you. Like this is a sign of like a nurture bottleneck, right? Or people just taking months and months and months or years to buy or never buying, right? That is a sign that your nurturing is off. Okay, so nurturing involves like long form content, emails and conversations, for example, and it's very, very powerful when done correctly. Now, the fourth bottleneck is your convert bottleneck. So once you have attracted them and nurtured them, now they enter the sales pipeline, which is really where you convert them. And so this could look like you have visibility, you have engagement, but you're not making sales. So this would look like more practically like they book a sales call with you, but then they don't buy, for example. This is a sign that there is a problem with your conversion process and you have a conversion bottleneck. So they're interested, they're leaning in, but they're not actually taking that action. They're not taking that next step. So this is a sign we need to fix the sales part of your business. And then the fifth bottleneck is actually delivering to clients. So you've successfully, you've got a great mindset that supports the results you want. You're attracting leads, you're nurturing leads, you're converting leads into clients. But if you now have an issue with deliver, then you're gonna really struggle to scale. So what this could look like practically is like, you've done such a good job at attracting, nurturing, and converting, but because the way that you deliver is through one-on-one coaching, you've capped yourself at 10 clients or you've capped yourself at 20 clients, and now you can't fit in any more clients because you traded time for money. So this is a problem, right? And so until you change the way that you deliver, you're actually not going to be able to make more money. There's no point in marketing anymore because you can't hold more growth. So this is where you have to change the structure of your program model. So going from one-on-one coaching to group coaching to adding, or let's say you're already in group coaching, but like you are just like doing so many things. Like one of my clients, she's so successfully attracted, nurtured, and converted her audience through my process that she reached a bottleneck of like, I can't keep up with supporting with all my clients. So she's now needing to implement things that I'm teaching her in order to continue to scale. One option could be she gets a support coach to help her with delivery, but she's, doesn't want to do that right now because she's just started. She's also really young. Like but she's just a go-getter, and that's why she's getting these results. And so that's fine. So there's another way that she can go about it. You know, she could change the structure of how she's delivering to her clients. So we built a whole plan together, and she was so relieved and happy when I taught her this. Like, she couldn't believe like the way that she could halve the amount of time that she's supporting her clients, not by actually delivering less, but just going about it differently and just having some healthy standards and boundaries in place of how she goes about it. And I taught her my process for that. There's another way that she can buy back her time to have more time to deliver, which is that like getting a VA, like delegating some admin, delegating her content, delegating other things, so she's got more capacity to take on more clients. You know, so there's a lot of ways you can do things. I also taught her a whole bunch of things she can automate, you know, and template and delete, where she's just making her life so much harder than she needs to. So there's a lot of things you can do there, but in that's an example of a deliver bottleneck, right? So now, I hope that that's been helpful in of itself, recognizing there's only 5 bottlenecks and you're currently sitting in one of them. Which one are you sitting in? That is the question you actually need to ask yourself, right? So if you're doing everything and nothing is working, almost always you're just doing everything in the wrong place or the wrong area or the wrong energy, right? So I want you to ask yourself these questions in order to figure out what your bottleneck is. Let's start with mindset. Am I showing up clearly, consistently, and confidently without spiraling, hiding, or avoiding, right? Attract. Am I consistently bringing in new aligned leads without relying on referrals or luck? Nurture. Is my audience actively engaging and moving closer to working with me? Convert. When I make offers, do people inquire, apply, or buy without needing to be chased? And deliver. Are my clients getting incredible results without me being the bottleneck in their experience? The first no that you got there is your bottleneck. So if you answered no for the mindset question, that is your bottleneck, and that is where you need to start, because it is naturally affecting every single other thing after that. You fix that and you'll then be able to find the next bottleneck, and potentially it's way further down, for example. Now, before you change anything though, I do want to ask you just one more question. How long have you been fully committed to your current strategy, niche, or messaging? If it's less than 60 days, to be honest with you, and you have to have been really consistent, by the way, in that 60 days, it's likely just a time gap and you just need to keep going. So you don't just do something for 5 minutes and you're like, oh, it's a bottleneck, it doesn't work, I'm changing it. You actually need to give something a solid go. Like if someone says to me, oh, I have an attract bottleneck, and then I go look at their social media and they've posted 3 times in the last 2 months, I'm like, no, you have a consistency bottleneck. You don't have an attract bottleneck. Like, this is in the mindset. Like, why are you not showing up massively in alignment with your goals? Because it's a very unhealthy expectation that you would post 3 times, 6 times, even 10 times in a 30-day period and expect these above average results with bare minimum effort, right? So your actions need to align with your results. I can't just say, oh yeah, I want to make $300,000 in a month and then do literally nothing about it. So it could be a strategy gap, or it could actually just be a time gap and you need to give it time but put in effort in that time. Very, very important. If you've been doing something consistently and to the best of your abilities for more than 60 days, right? And there's no leads, unclear messaging, or offers aren't converting, like then it's a strategy gap and it's time to actually change something and refine something. Most coaches really get this backwards. They quit strategies that actually just needed time. You know, so for example, I'll have a client, she'll run her first launch or masterclass, won't get the best results. I then audit it, give massive amounts of feedback. Then she gets, you know, a couple more results. Fantastic. I audit it again. Then the next one, she signs so many clients. This happens all the time. Imagine if they had given up on the first time because they judged it of like, oh, this strategy doesn't work. This isn't for me. Like, I can't be successful in this. What a wasted opportunity of so much growth, so much potential, just straight down the drain. You might as well give me $100,000 and I just pour it down the drain, because that's what you're wasting. Like, I literally make millions and millions of dollars a year from a strategy that once didn't work for me in the beginning. Not because it didn't work for me, I actually just sucked at it. I wasn't actually that good at it. But when I committed time, effort, intentionality, and mastery, I got good at it. And therefore, through time and effort, guess what? My results increased and compounded. And now today we make millions of dollars. We make hundreds of thousands of dollars a month because I kept going. So you don't want to write something off too soon without having truly given it your all. And this is why it's so important to have support behind you, because, you know, people's mindsets wobble. You know, I'll have clients that will catastrophize and freak out and get upset. Very normal. And that's why I don't judge it, but I coach them through it. I support them through it, through data-based actions to take and also mindset support. And on, like, off the back of those two things, they get wild results. I had a client, she was going through a real mindset wobble just a month ago. She was like, I just feel like I'm doing everything and nothing's working, blah, blah, blah. I audited everything. I showed her the bottleneck. I told her what to do from there. And she just celebrated 6 clients from her last launch, and she's just having her biggest month in business. This is one example. And this is from my client Alice, but like I could talk about many, many, many more. And she was so grateful. She literally did a post in my school community for my clients, and she said, this is like your invitation to keep going. I was having this mindset wobble. This was my thoughts. Sophia gave me this process. Sophia did this, and then I went and actioned it, and now I've just celebrated my biggest launch. And you know, this is just your reminder to keep going. You know, this is the power of the right support and the right community as well. So I just wanted to share that as well, so you don't write something off unnecessarily, which is why if you do not have business support right now, like, oh my God, like this, if there's one takeaway, it's to go get that, because it's costing you so much because you just don't know what you don't know. So yeah. So your bottleneck isn't just a strategy problem, by the way. It's like a sequence. So like each stage builds on the one before it. So if you're missing mindset, you're not going to show up properly to attract. If you skipped attract, you'll have no one to nurture. If you don't nurture, your audience won't be ready to convert, for example. So, you know, if everything feels like it's not working, you really just need to start from the top. It's likely mindset, and make your way down, right? So that's really what I want you to do, okay? Now, when you are in a bottleneck, it's really easy to spiral into thoughts like, I'm not good at this, I should be further along, like this is bad, this is wrong, and like catastrophize. And no judgment, this is like, I was a pro at this. I was a pro at catastrophizing. I'd have like a bad day, a bad week, a bad month, and I just would catastrophize and say my business is over, I'm never going to be successful, nothing ever good is going to come again, which is just obviously not true, but in the moment it always feels so real, right? And so I just want to share one mindset piece before I wrap up, and that is, bottlenecks are normal, guys. Like literally I'm doing, at the time of recording this, like nearly 250K a month, and I have a bottleneck. Everyone has a bottleneck. Someone doing $1 million a month has a bottleneck. So like there's nothing wrong with you if you have a bottleneck. Like you do have a bottleneck. I do have a bottleneck. Everyone does. The difference is, and I can appreciate this, like some people's bottlenecks are, yes, bigger than others. Yes, are painful than others. And that, you know, that's something to be mindful of. And this is why having mindset support is so important. But everyone has a bottleneck. So there's nothing wrong in that regard. Every coach hits them at every single level, right? So slow seasons don't mean you're failing, right? Unless you want a different result and you're not doing something about it. Well, then that's, you know, an issue, but that's also something you're choosing. But just know that some of my biggest months, my biggest breakthroughs have been right after being stuck, having a breakdown, having an issue. So the breakdown often happens right before the breakthrough. Just remember that. So if things feel really hard, you can do something about it. Get a coach, take a new piece of action. You just identified the bottleneck, do something about it now that you've got this new level of awareness, and that's how you're going to get a different result. So being stuck is not the problem. Staying stuck because you're guessing or working on the wrong things is what the problem is, okay? So don't make your bottleneck mean something about you or someone else, right? Make it mean that your next stage of growth is literally on the other side of removing that bottleneck. So if you want help actually solving your bottleneck, because now you're aware of it, but you're like, I don't know how to fix this. This is exactly where I come in. This is what I support my clients with inside my program called Scale School. So if you want to learn how to spaciously scale your coaching business with a clear calendar most days of the week and actually enjoy the process and know how to fix the problems that, yes, will arise, then I would love to support you. You can click the link below to book in a roadmap call with one of my scale specialists. We will see if we can help you, and if we can, and it feels like a right fit on both ends, then we will invite you to work with us inside Scale School. So click the link below to apply, and I will hopefully see you inside.